Ladies and gentlemen, welcome in to some of the worst NBA games in recent memory. You know, when you're a kid, you watch all the NBA games. We know how they do it, starting at noon. The second game is at 2:30. The third game is at 5 o'clock, and then 8:30, and then 10:30, something like that. And I don't know, with the NBA, I've kind of fallen out of love with it. It is what it is, but certainly when I was younger, I did like watching the Christmas Day games, and there were some games because remember, they've got to fit in 5 primetime spots, including the 10:30 window. Some of these teams are just not very good, and I thought I would just go back through the past 10 years and take a look at maybe like one game per year that was just not good. Starting, I mean, you've always got the Knicks on Christmas. I saw this year they're doing Knicks Bucks on Christmas. It is what it is. But the Knicks coming into this game, this was a few years ago at 14-18 against the Atlanta Hawks. And this one, the Knicks actually won it 101-87. I don't even think Trae Young played in this game, but you can see there's no way Trae Young played in this game if John Collins has 18 field goal attempts. Julius Randle, 25-12 during a breakout year. I remember that. Kemba Walker, was that his last good year? 12 assists, 1 turnover in 40 minutes. It was a nice win for the Knicks, but the Knicks always play that noon game to start. Normally, it's not very good. Oh, this was from 2020. So you remember how they did it in 2020 where the season gets postponed in early March, they resume it, they have the bubble thing, the Mickey Mouse thing, that the Lakers end up winning. And then they kickstart the season right near Christmas. This was like the second game of the season for both of these teams. There's no one in the stands. I just can't take this seriously. I'm sorry. And it's like this for every sport for me. Like the 2020 seasons with no fans, it's just hard to really, this is supposed to be a Christmas Day game and there's just no atmosphere. And on paper, this was a good matchup. But the Warriors, ever since they had their 73-win season, they would have a lot of games like this during the regular season where they would just get blown out against really good teams. Certainly, I mean, when they went 73-9, they were winning every game. But after that, Steph Curry struggles. James Wiseman, the number 2 overall pick. I mean, he'll take the 8 rebounds. Certainly, he'll take 8 rebounds, giving up 138 points. And then for the Bucks, you did have Chris Middleton go off. 31 points, 10 of 15. Giannis with 13 rebounds. This game was not competitive. The Warriors at a certain point, I mean, look at these teams' records. They were 0-2. This was their second game because the season started late because of the postponement of the 2019 season. Or is that considered the 2020 season? I don't know. The NBA is annoying because it's the 2019/2020 season. It got postponed. They had to have the bubble and they started this season late. But that was just that whole Christmas was bad. Let's just call it what it is. How about this? The Utah Jazz on a Christmas Day game. What a rare sight this is. This has got to be their only time they've been on a Christmas game probably in the last decade, but this was the Damian Lillard, CJ McCollum team going up against Utah, Donovan Mitchell, Rudy Gobert. Utah came into this game right around 500, so was Portland. This is just a filler game, let's call it what it is. They needed somebody to fill the 10:30 Eastern window, and these two Pacific teams did. The Utah Jazz end up easily winning in a blowout, 117-96. You did have Donovan Mitchell. I mean, really no one had great numbers in this game. I think this was the game Rudy Gobert had 7 blocks or something. Because when I was researching to look it up, they were like, oh, he had 7 blocks. This is just meaningless basketball here. No, it's not. These teams are okay, but still, whenever you see the Utah Jazz appear on Christmas, it's a strange sight. This game, this is back from like 2014, 2015. I can tell from the scoreboard. Spurs versus Bulls. The Bulls had so many bad games, man. Dwayne Wade on the Chicago Bulls. Little guest appearance there. Oh, LaMarcus Aldridge went crazy this game. 33 points. This was a blowout. Really. I mean, it was close at half, I guess, but just another crappy game. There were a lot of crappy games involving the Bulls, and then there's this one. This is the Lakers-Clippers. I believe this was Kobe's last year, so that's why this game was on, but the Lakers were just getting demolished. This would have been, I believe, the 10:30 window game, and it wasn't close. Even with the Clippers scoring 9 points in the fourth quarter, they still win by 10, low scoring. The Lakers fall to 5-25. Yeah, this had to have been Kobe's last year. Why else would they be on Christmas at 5-25? D'Angelo Russell, congratulations, 16 points. Julius Randle, when he was on the Lakers, he had 8 rebounds. DeAndre Jordan, they had Blake Griffin at that point, and Chris Paul. That was probably one of the final years those three were together. Moving on, how about this rare game on TNT? This only happened one time recently where TNT had 2 games on Christmas, and honestly, it just doesn't look right. It puts a bad taste in my mouth. This was the Lakers versus the Bulls. The Lakers end up getting trounced 113-93. Pal Gasol goes for 23 and 13. Who's on the Lakers at this point? Why are they on Christmas? They're 9-20. It's like, who is that? Ed Davis with 14 rebounds? The big fella. I mean, you'll take that 7 offensive rebounds. That's impressive, but they get crushed. Just a bad basketball game. And that was when the Bulls still had a good team. The next one, it is the Bulls versus the Nets. Kind of a close game throughout much of this one, but in the fourth quarter, the Nets just couldn't score, or in all of the second half, the Nets just couldn't score. Final in this one, 95-78. This is back in 2014 or 2013, I want to say, actually. But you can see Taj Gibson with a big game, Darren Williams for the Nets. The Nets are such a weird team with the talent that they've had. They tried building around the washed big three back in like 2012, and then they end up getting a new big three and still can't win. But yeah, this game was just a complete crap show. 11-16 versus 9-9. Both teams under 100 points. The Nets can't even get to 80 points in that game. And if you actually look at the 2015-2016 Christmas, this would have been Christmas Day 2015. Look at these scores. This would never happen nowadays. Pretty much every team outside of the Bulls under 100 points. The Pelicans played on Christmas. Wow. They beat the Heat, so the Knicks weren't on Christmas back in 2015, but 94-88 in overtime. The Bulls barely score 100. The Cavs-Warriors, there were a lot of lower-scoring Cavs-Warriors matchups from like 2015 to 2017 in that era. 89-83. Rockets-Spurs, low-scoring. All of those games were just crazy low scoring. I was looking at that and I was like, there was no way with how up-tempo they play that would never happen. And then here's just another crappy Christmas Day game. This is when the Knicks were 9-25. This is another noon game taking on Giannis and the Bucks like 3 years ago. This is the game that's going to be happening this year, and the Bucks end up winning easily. It's just I mean, you go into a game like this knowing there's an 80% chance the Bucks are going to pull away and win in the second half. Kevin Knox goes for 21. Wow. Giannis goes for 30 and 14. Emmanuel Mudiay. I remember when Emmanuel Mudiay, he committed to like SMU and then decided to go to Guangdong, China to play. Emmanuel Mudiay, a trailblazer for all this. What do the kids do now? G League? The G League Ignite or something. That's what it is. But Mudiay couldn't do that. He had to go to frickin' Guangdong. You got to feel bad for him. But either way, guys, those are just some random crappy Christmas Day games. That's going to do it for this video. Make sure you're following me on X. Link to that's always in the description.